After 15 full episodes on deep diving into all sorts of weird concepts and strategies we needed to deploy to survive even just the opening stages of this challenge, we have upgraded biter nests with sewage systems and stronger walls for their homes. Destroyed land values around important resource patches by installing pipe systems all over the map to prepare for future resource extraction. Kept the land values in our base sparkly clean to trick the biters into thinking they want to expand into my base, but then abuse the intrinsic biter laziness to walk long distances to actually get them to not make those new settlements. Built the Dutch national dike system along the North Sea to keep those pesky flying biters away. Installed a Big Brother radar surveillance systems for the biters' personal safety. Started guerrilla mining right next to huge behemoth-wormed biter bases without them noticing the smell. Designed a space platform of literally unreasonable size to rain down iron from the skies in such quantities that we would be able to stop mining iron on Norvis completely. And hand-fed more military science than most people need for an entire playthrough in mere minutes, just to unlock the handheld flamethrower for personal safety. But today, with all of the strategic groundworks in place, it is finally time to make some progress like a normal person. Like this very normal stone mine which we will be using to make more landfill to expand our fish farm empire on the Great Northern Ocean. Okay, log in there, script writing Mike. We are going to get to blue signs today, understand me? Right, blue signs. So, as blue signs does not require any stone, to get the fourth and final basic resource in quality format, we need to set up these two quality stone mines, where we produce landfill from the 97% normal stone we get, Mike, while stashing all the quality stone ore in these chests. These two stone mines will be producing 180,000 landfill together with a whopping 110 full chests of quality stone, Mike! And hopefully that will turn out to be enough for the rest of the playthrough. Mike! Okay. Blue signs. While it does not require any regular stone from our stone mines, blue signs is made in pairs from one piece of yellow stone, better known to the layman as sulfur. So yeah, 2 blue signs packs for 1 sulfur, 2 engines and 3 red chips. We've already built 1/3 of the red chip setup for module purposes, so first up we triple the plastic build. And painstakingly finish up hand building the huge and overly detailed red chip setup. Of the 3 blue signs resources, we build red chips first and start buffering them up like crazy, because the red chip build contains a crucial mistake. Quality. The entire red chip setup was fine-tuned to produce 1.5 bells or 1350 red chips a minute to make 900 blue signs a minute. But we didn't account for the quality modules in the red chip build, which not only slow the machines down by 10%, but also cause 2% of the red chips to be too good to use in science packs. Assuming we will upgrade to uncommon quality modules at some point, that means we will actually only produce 1184 red chips a minute. Fortunately, we also didn't account for uncommon productivity modules in the blue science assemblers, but we will still need 1227 red chips a minute, which means we're producing at a deficit of 43 red chips a minute, about 2500 per hour. But if we can buffer up, say, a couple 100,000 of red chips while building the rest of blue signs, that will allow us to run blue signs at full speed for hundreds of hours continuously, and we'll be refilling the buffer every time we research a red-green only technology. We've already amassed 130,000 red chips before even starting to design engines, sulfur and blue signs itself, so we hopefully should be fine here. Anyway, we'll make sure to not make the same quality mistake when designing the engine setup. After all that hard building work, the blue sign stack completes. And to celebrate, we treat ourselves to a nice little gift. We've got no fast inserters, no steel power poles, no red bells, no circuit network, no tool belt, no car. But here I finally decide to treat myself to the very first non-essential tech of the game: modular armor. Not only will that open the door for later exoskeletons and even personal construction bots, but equipping a rare modular armor will instantly expand my inventory by 16 slots. Which allows me to carry exactly 2 steel chests worth of inventory, which can come in quite handy with my playstyle. And by now we have produced enough quality red and green chips that we can afford upgrading all the labs to uncommon productivity modules. And with 10% productivity per lab, we get tantalizingly close to that 4-digit SPM count. We will be producing exactly not quite 1000 signs per minute from our yellow belt of 900 physical sign specs a minute. Not nice. Anyway, the 600k steel production for a future space platform endeavor is running at a snail's pace, even from the viewpoint of a snail. So we set up a temporary 2 extra yellow belts of iron into steel. This should triple our potential steel production up to 540 steel a minute. Which should get us the 600k steel we need in a mere 20 hours. Okay. And we had to set up an entire new iron mine to be able to supply those extra lines of steel. With the underproducing but buffering red chips in place, before we can even think about building any additional blue science machinery, we first have to expand power. And with a little bit of imagination, we managed to double solar power and cram a total of 6000 solar panels in this 3000 solar panel space spot. We finally get around to at least designing the engines and blue sign setup. They are basically the same design. Both engines and blue signs are a slow as F recipe with 3 inputs and 1 output. And we managed to make a nice and compact center belts only setup again, utilizing every single tile of space for belts, inserters and the obligatory adjacent power poles for symmetry, leaving not even a single tile available to place any lights. Anyway, this time we did account for putting quality modules in engines, and we overbuilt the engine assemblers accordingly to be able to produce both the almost 900 regular engines a minute for blue signs and set aside the 2% quality engines coming out of the setup. And most importantly, we designed the entire thing to fit into yet another weird outcrop of the base, which wasn't gonna be useful for anything else anyway. It barely fits with the 3 tile assemblers hanging 1 tile over the edge into the forbidden chunks. But hey, as long as the neighbors won't notice we're ever so slightly on their land, we should be fine. Speaking of decoy green expansion circles, by building a bunch of new mining outposts for blue signs, we will be sacrificing a bunch of them. So before we proceed to actually build anything for blue signs, we first carbon neutral compensate our green circle footprint by dumping large amounts of landfill in the lake and killing hundreds of fish in the process. Right. Somehow the Commission agrees this loophole in the law is acceptable behavior, so as long as we use our landfill BP, we shall get away with it. We also put some rare radar outposts on the lake to keep an eye on activists, scout out the distant lands and seas to further extend our fish farm empire in the future. Okay, let's build blue signs. But no, green signs is starting to struggle again, so here we are, building yet another iron mine for green signs instead. It's effing green signs, man, and it has been eating through so many ore patches already. I'm really starting to worry about keeping blue signs supplied, as blue signs is 3 times as expensive as green signs. Well, if we actually get to build it someday. Speaking of blue signs, we are kinda out of useful red and green text to research. While we want to research advanced oil processing ASAP, blue signs is nowhere near ready, so we are forced to detour into some more red and green text. Accumulators now have steel power poles as a prereq, and as both of them are required to unlock Fulgora, we can pretend that these are not quality of life techs and instead are required on the way to unlock interplanetary travel, right? We also decide to get the red belts technology in there. With the amount of resources we're dealing with and our base space getting quite restricted, red belts might not be as technically useless as I once thought them to be. And most importantly, researching red belts unlocks belt weaving. Belt weaving. And that may someday come in very handy to design nice and compact setups for items with monstrously large resource and machinery requirements. Speaking of advanced oil processing, it is time to stop basic oil processing. We have stockpiled enough petroleum gas to make all sulfur for the 75,000 blue signs it costs to unlock the more than twice as oil efficient advanced oil processing tech. And while we indeed would need those full 120 tanks of petroleum gas if we hadn't made any red chips yet, the reality is we are currently sitting on a stockpile of 460,000 red chips, over 4 times the amount we need to unlock advanced oil. On the plus side though, overspending on red chips with only basic oil processing has allowed us to produce enough uncommon red chips to make uncommon productivity modules to both upgrade our 1008 labs and install them in our 240 to-be blue signs assemblers, saving a significant amount of non-oil resources. Well, everything's a trade-off, man, but we also might have another mystery tech brewing in the back of our heads to spend the rest of those red chips. Alright, it's time to build blue signs. Except it's the end of a 9-hour stream and I'm tired, boss. So instead of building blue signs, we further procrastinate by placing even more biter expansion chunks on the lake, using our newly acquired radar intelligence to plan out the configuration of the 3x3 chunk landfill squares. Anyway, eventually we get to it. And building this ultra-dense spaghetti of a blue signs design is gonna take a while. But at least we didn't make the same mistake as with quality red chips, and the engines are nicely overbuilt so that we can put quality modules in the engines without underproducing engines for blue signs. Those quality engines, by the way, are gonna be very useful for making quality electric engines for both modular armor equipment and quality personal construction bots in the future. In the meantime, we've also switched research targets and will be researching Logistics 2 first, instead of accumulators. As said, Logistics 2 is not strictly necessary, but the sheer size of this blue signs monster has made me see the light. The vertical passage between the labs and the engines is not very wide, and red belts can carry twice as much stuff through a single tile wide space compared to yellow belts. Heck, thrice as much if you don't mind belt weaving. Belt weaving. Building the complete blue signs and engine setup took me a full hour, despite my blueprinted design allowing me to totally switch off my brain and just paint by numbers. But man, this was a large picture to complete. And we haven't even designed the third and last ingredient of sulfur yet. With 180 red chip assemblers, over 200 engine assemblers and a whopping 240 blue signs assemblers, the number of sulfur plants we need to supply our almost but not quite 1000 SPM base is 3. Well, okay, it's actually 4, but since our design is cut into thirds, we decide to use uncommon sulfur plants to cut it down to just a single sulfur plant per blue signs production lane. Easy peasy sulfur squeezy, and that is the entire blue sign setup built. Nice, let's switch it on. Oh wait, right, we need 9 belts of iron to supply engines and another 2.5 belts of copper for the third lane of red chip production. No, I'm not doing that. Advanced oil processing is such a key technology to unlock that we are just going to fake our way into producing 1000 blue signs per minute. Or, well, at least for the duration of the Advanced Oil Research Project, and one more mystery early key blue technology, which in a normal game would be easily postponed until well after launching rockets. What could it be? Anyway, to start researching advanced oil processing we need 110k red chips, but as we're currently sitting on 460k red chips in chests, we won't need to produce any red chips to unlock advanced oil. Instead, we can simply borrow the 3 belts of iron dedicated to red chips, and after adding a 4th belt of iron we were using to make steel for space platforms, that is the 4 belts of iron for pipes and gears for engines dealt with. Now we just need to find another 5 belts of iron and turn them into 1 belt of steel. Or do we? Amazingly, we have already accumulated half of the 600,000 steel we need for the space platforms, before even building blue signs. I think we can safely feed out a full yellow belt of 900 steel a minute for quite a while, without jeopardizing our ability to build space platforms in time. Man, just researching the 1 million blue sign stack of rocket silo is going to take 17 hours alone at 1k SPM. So, there we are. A belt of steel from storage, plus 4 borrowed belts of iron equals the 9 belts of iron we need to make engines for 1000 SPM. All of the red chips come from chests. And the sulfur is literally easy as 1, 2, 3. Let's switch this thing on. And that is 990 blue signs per minute. Nice. But we can do better. Or at least pretend to do better. Since we are already faking the entire blue science resource supply, why not fake our way into a true 1000 signs per minute base as well? Currently, we're running 990 signs per minute with the help of uncommon productivity modules. There is no way I can afford 2000 rare ones, but if we use exactly 116 rare productivity modules across the top 2 lab rows and then pause research for just half a minute or so that all 1008 labs back up with signs, those 8 surplus labs will then keep the illusion of a true 1000 signs per minute blue science base going for a convincingly long time. So, there you have it. Actual progress in a single episode. A true 1000 signs per minute blue science base with absolutely all the resource supply it needs at all times without relying on any buffers. Nice. Now, what will we do with it? Find out next time.